Welcome back to Mortgagenomics Canada. I'm your host, Marco Gello. I'm a duly licensed mortgage broker in British Columbia and Alberta. If you are from either of these provinces and require any mortgage-related services, do not hesitate to contact me. Call or text me right now at 604-800-9593, 604-800-9593. One application, one credit check, and access to Canada's top lenders. Today, I'm going to talk about purchasing a property from a family member with little or no money down. Canada is in the midst of an unprecedented intergenerational wealth transfer. An estimated $1 to $2 trillion is expected to move from the baby boomers, and those are those born from 1945 to 1965, to their millennial and Generation X children between 2023 and 2026. So these are big years ahead of us. We're in this phase right now. While we often think of a wealth transfer as a full inheritance passed down after death, what is unfolding in many Canadian families looks a little different. Rather than gifting entire properties outright, many parents and grandparents are selling to their children or grandchildren at discounted prices. The arrangement keeps ownership within the family, but still allows the older generation to access some of the property's value while they are still alive. So this is a very important consideration as they fund retirement, healthcare, or simply maintain lifestyle security. In this sense, it's less like a full inheritance and more like an early handoff at a discount, a bridge between gifting and selling at full market value. These transactions, commonly referred to as gifted equity purchases, allow younger buyers to enter the housing market with little or no cash out of pocket. The down payment is carved out of their existing equity rather than from traditional savings, enabling the transfer of wealth in a way that balances both generations' needs, preserving financial independence for the parent while creating an attainable path to home ownership for the child or the younger family member. Now, let's talk about the term that we'll hear about more throughout this in its gifted equity purchase. So what exactly is a gifted equity purchase? Private home sales between family members, commonly referred to as gifted equity purchases, have become increasingly common in Canada over the past several years. These arrangements typically involve one family member selling a property to another at fair market value while also gifting the buyer the required down payment. So in effect, the down payment comes directly from the existing equity in the home, allowing the buyer to complete the purchase with no cash out of pocket. Essentially, the elder family member is not quite giving away the entire property, but they are providing a substantial boost by embedding the down payment into the transaction so the buyer can qualify for the mortgage. Now, why mortgage guidance is so critical in this process? If the transaction doesn't involve a mortgage, the process is usually straightforward. A lawyer can just go to a lawyer, they'll update the land title to reflect the change in ownership, and you're pretty much done. But once mortgage financing enters the equation, the complexity increases. Gifted equity purchases introduce extra steps above and beyond a standard home purchase. The lender and insurer will require the purchase agreement and supporting documents to be worded in very specific ways, and the gifted equity must be clearly identified and traceable back to the home's equity. A small misstep in the paperwork in this purchase contract can delay or even derail the entire mortgage approval. That's why it's critical to involve an experienced mortgage broker from the very beginning. Unlike a realtor or lawyer who may focus solely on the purchase contract or title transfer, a mortgage broker quarterbacks the entire process with the lender's qualification rules in mind. A seasoned mortgage broker they'll confirm the deal structure qualifies before the contract is even drafted, right? So it's kind of like a pre-approval for a very specialized type of deal. A mortgage broker will also provide ready-to-use templates tailored for gifted equity purchases. They'll also coordinate with the lawyers to ensure the documentation matches the lender requirements. And finally, throughout the whole process, they'll keep an eye on and flag any potential issues early on in the process so the mortgage funds smoothly at closing. This is a type of transaction that if you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, there could be a lot of drama at the 11th hour where the deal doesn't fund. So, in short, the broker ensures that what looks like a simple family deal on the surface actually meets the stricter demands of Canada's mortgage system. So here's kind of a little summary step-by-step guide to a compliant gifted equity purchase. So number one, obviously negotiate the price, agree on that price amongst the family member that this is being negotiated with. Number two, as soon as you have that price negotiated, engage with the mortgage broker immediately. Before a contract is signed, consult with the mortgage broker experienced in gifted equity purchases. They'll confirm whether the structure is viable and guide the documentation process from the outset. And the documentation process is, I would say, probably the most critical part of the entire deal structure here. After you engage with the mortgage broker and essentially do the pre-approval for the whole gifted equity purchase, then you go ahead and draft the gifted equity purchase contract. And like I said, once the brokers confirm the qualification strategy, the pre-approval, the purchase agreement can be prepared with clear wording identifying the gifted down payment and its origin from the home's equity. And this is why it's important to have an experienced mortgage broker quarterback this process, because of the wording and the statements and the disclosures that are required in the purchase contract. Okay. And lastly, number four, once you have that gifted equity purchase completed, once you've pre-qualified for done a formal pre-qualification with your mortgage broker, now you're ready to proceed with formally qualifying for the mortgage, submitting it to the lender. So the mortgage approval process generally mirrors a traditional purchase mortgage, except the down payment isn't from the buyer's savings. It's built into the equity. When properly structured, this results in a zero down or $0 out of pocket purchase for the buyer, while still satisfying all the lender and insurer criteria. So I have an example here. Let me just pull it out in front of me here. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll have the numbers on the screen now as I talk about this. Here's the example. Bob, that'll be the grandfather. Let's call him Bob. Grandpa Bob owns a property with a fair market value of $800,000. He plans to move into a senior care facility and wants to help his grandson. Okay, so he's got too much house. He wants to get rid of the property, tap into his equity, and move into a senior care facility. And at the same time, he wants to help his grandson, Jimmy, become a homeowner. So they agree on a purchase price of $775,000. Okay, so a little bit of a family discount there from the $800,000, 800 to 815 that the realtor thinks they can get for it in the market. Grandpa wants to help out Jimmy, $775,000. However, Jimmy requires a mortgage to buy the property. Okay, so he's obviously doesn't have $775,000 kicking around. To assist with this, the grandfather not only sells the property below market value, but also gifts the required down payment. Okay, so normally a minimum of $52,500 is needed for a purchase at this price point. Okay, so that's 5% on the first 500,000 and 10% on the remaining balance thereafter. So that equates to $52,500. So rather than gifting cash, Bob allocates a portion of the home's equity as the down payment. So in effect, Jimmy never receives any physical funds. The down payment is embedded in the transaction, enabling him to qualify for a mortgage with $0 out of pocket. Okay, so if you're looking on the screen here, you'll see the numbers in front of you. $775,000 is the purchase price minus the gifted equity down payment. Okay, so that's the $52,500. And with that, you qualify. Jimmy would qualify. He still has to qualify for the mortgage, Jimmy, by the way. He qualifies for $722,500 mortgage. That is the amount that's advanced to his grandfather. And he also qualifies for that additional insurance premium because it's less than 20%. So that's just over $30,000. That gets tacked onto the mortgage and that gets advanced to the insurer. So altogether, the gross mortgage registered on his land title is just over $750,000. So gifted equity purchases offer a creative and compassionate way for families to transition property ownership and support younger generations in entering the housing market. But they are not standard purchases. They come with unique requirements that demand careful structuring and lender approved documentation. An experienced mortgage broker is the key player in making these transactions successful. With the right guidance, families can avoid unnecessary delays, meet all lender and insurer requirements, and ensure the wealth transfer takes place smoothly. If you're considering this route, seek professional advice early to protect both generations' interests and to ensure the transaction fulfills its intended purpose, keeping wealth in the family while opening doors to home ownership. Okay, that's all I got for today. Call or text me anytime if you have any mortgage questions at all, especially if you're in British Columbia or Alberta, as I am licensed to service these specific provinces. And especially if you're from Vancouver or Calgary, as I am very familiar with these markets, I welcome calls and emails from all over Canada and the entire world. For those that are in the process of or have recently relocated or immigrated to Canada from elsewhere, or for those Canadians who are in the process of moving from one province to another, as I specialize in interprovincial relocations and new to Canada mortgage applications. And of course, I do every other mortgage qualification scenario you could possibly imagine. Come to me for all your mortgage needs. Call or text me at 604-800-9593, or you can get me on WhatsApp, or just go ahead and link up to my website, homefinancingsolutions.ca, where you'll find my complete catalog of past blogs and podcast episodes. And one more thing, I recently added to the episode notes a link to download my award-winning mortgage app. This thing is amazing. It comes equipped with tons of calculators, market interest rates, and every other thing you can imagine. It even enables you to do a snap pre-qualification on yourself. You got to check it out. Look for it in my episode notes and give it a try. Thank you again for tuning in to Mortgagenomics Canada. Stay well, everyone. Talk again soon.